Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. So ever since COVID has happened for the last 2 years, I probably had 10 times more conversation on the topic of will and power of attorney. Personally, I think this is great as it's not discussed enough, especially among the younger generations. And one of the most common questions people will ask is, how should I get my will and power of attorney done? And do I need to go to a lawyer, or is there a much more cost-effective way of getting these things set up? So for this week, I thought I'll make a video on why everybody should have a will regardless what age you're in, and also what are the most cost-effective options you have to set these things up. Now, just a heads up, at the end of the video, we'll be talking about a promotion that our company is launching, which has something to do with estate planning and also will and power of attorney. So if you're interested to find out more, I've included that in the timestamp below. Alright, now without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So first, let's talk about what happens if we don't have a will or a power of attorney and something happens to us. Now, if you don't have a will established, when you passed away, this is what we call you died in estate, which basically means no instruction on how to handle your estate. And since there's no instruction, what's going to happen is your provincial government is going to step in and apply the provincial rules. Now, these rules will vary from province to province, and most of the time it's probably not you would have intended in the first place. And so if you don't have a will, when you pass away, it's gonna affect the following major areas. Now, the first one is the executor. Who is gonna be your executor? Now, this is supposed to be the person that will get everything done and settle, file all the final tax return, so then they can distribute the asset to the family members. But if you don't have a will established, when you pass away, no one can be executor. And if someone in your family wants to step up and be one, they would have to apply through court and wait for a court approval to become an administrator before they can actually reach into your estate and settle it. And I'm sure given everyone's experience with the government and the system and how slow sometimes things are, you probably won't be surprised if this process of approval takes up to months or sometimes maybe up to a year. Now, this obviously is going to affect a lot of things because during this time, there might still be bills that want to be paid, accounts you want to close up, or a portfolio that may have to be cashed out or managed. But if nobody has access to these kind of things, then they can't do them. And also, if in your family, nobody is willing to step up to be an executor, then what the court is going to do is to appoint a public trustee to act your executor and settle your estate, which you probably may not want a random stranger to handle your affair. Now, speaking of handling your affair, one of the major topics is what to do with minor children. If there is no will to appoint a guardian, then obviously the court will appoint one themselves. Essentially, a guardian will now have the total rights and responsibility over your children. And if you leave it to a court, then they might appoint someone that, in your opinion, may not be the best fit for this job. And this is how we hear a lot of horror story of guardian doing a terrible job and sometimes even abuse the children once they take over the guardianship. Now, other than that, if you leave inheritance to your children who are minors, their inheritance will have to be left inside a trust until they turn adult. This can be financially difficult if you have a surviving spouse that is trying to pay the bills and maintain the family. So having a will is very important to lay out the instructions clearly on how you want to distribute the asset and also who is going to be the guardian taking care of your kids. Now, finally, the biggest thing that a will affect is money and also estate. Without a will, you cannot name your beneficiary inside. And so what the provincial government will do is they're going to apply their own rule to determine how it's going to be distributed, and they prioritize immediate family or blood relatives. So what that could do is you may have intention to leave some of your stuff to your in-laws or the family over there, but because the court prioritized blood relatives and also immediate family first, they may be left with nothing. Now, in terms of how provinces handle these kind of distribution by themselves, it's going to be very different for each province. On the screen here, you see Ontario's general rule versus BC, and you can already see there is some major differences inside. If you want to check out your own province, I've also included a link in the description below so you can take a look just in case if you pass away without a will, how will your province treat your estate? Now, not having a power of attorney, the inconvenience is just like not having a will. And in some perspective, this might be even more troubling and devastating than not having a will, because your family will have to apply through court to take over your account or to get access to it so they can help you arrange some stuff. During those times, let's say if you're in a hospital, your bills, all your accounts, all your portfolios are still going to keep going. So if you face a market crash or market correction like the one that we see in the last 3 weeks, and your family feel like they want to help you preserve your wealth and make some adjustment to the portfolio, they can't do that without a power of attorney. And then similarly, they also can't help you make a decision on your health if they don't have a health power of attorney. So this is why having a will established and also a power of attorney for financial and health are very important no matter what stage of life you're in, no matter what age you're in or what net worth you have. You're always going to have something, and I'm sure you want them to be properly handled if something were to happen to you. All right, so now we can all agree that power of attorney and will, that's very important. Next is the question how we should be setting them up. So for the next part of the video, I want to share a little bit of my own personal experience of setting up my own will and power of attorney and my wife's, and then see if that helps you. Now, before we jump into the next part, a quick word from our sponsor, Skillshare today. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take next step in their creative journey. Now, what I love about Skillshare is that it combines really well-crafted video lessons with projects, so it's not just theory. You're actually gonna be doing the work, and that's the best way to learn. Once you sign up, you have access to every single class on the website, anything from creative drawing all the way to finances and project management. For example, I'm currently learning a class called Productivity Masterclass, Create a Custom System That Works by Thomas Frank, who is also a YouTuber. Now here's the best part. Thank you for Skillshare for sponsoring this video. They're doing a promotion right now. Instead of giving you the usual 14-day trial, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description below will get a 1 full month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Alright, so moving on, there's basically 2 major ways you can set up your will and power of attorney. The first way is the old school way where you use a proper lawyer to get everything done. And the second way is use some of the online platforms that are available online today. Now, there is a lot of online platforms, but the one that I'll be talking about mainly today is going to be Willful.co, and this is the one that I am using myself. And just for transparency's sake, I personally have not set up my will or power of attorney through a lawyer ever. I have done conversation with them, got their quotes, understood how the process is supposed to work. In the end, I didn't go through with it, and it's because my own personal will and power of attorney, I think it's simple enough that I can use the online platform to get those done. So if you have used a lawyer yourself to get all these things done, and after watching this video you disagree and you think there are some reasons why a lawyer would work much better than the online platform, let me know in the comment down below so I can learn as well. So according to my consultation with lawyers, basically I tell them what assets I have and what I want to happen when I pass away, and based on my instruction, they would draft the will accordingly. And then once it's done, I will go to a law firm, I'll get those signed, and also they will help me notarize, and I'll have a proper will. But keep in mind that in Canada, generally, your will and your power of attorney, you do not need to be notarized to be effective. Having it notarized just make it more official and less argument. In some cases, banks may ask you to notarize your power of attorney so that they can recognize it as an official document. But technically in Canada, you do not need them to be notarized to be effective. So the first pro I can see is that talking to a lawyer is a real human being, so there's a little bit more conversation going on. There could also be more consultation and planning involved to make sure the will is customized to your needs. However, I've also ran into a law firm where they're unwilling to advise me on some of my questions, and they would only draft the will according to my instruction, and the reason being that they're not specialized enough in this field. So if you are looking for consultation, you probably have to specifically find an estate lawyer so that they can give you a more comprehensive answer. Now, another pro is because you can talk with them, this allows you to set up more complicated structure inside your will if that's what you want with your estate. And last pro I can see that is notarized already if you do it with a lawyer, so there is not going to be an extra step where you may have to go through if you use an online platform. Now the cons is obviously it's going to be very expensive to get this done versus online platform. For myself, I've spoke with I think 2 or 3 lawyers, and on average in Vancouver, I was quoted anywhere from $450 to $600 per person just for the will. Power of attorney is something I have to add on. I think it was $150 or $200. So if me and my wife do this together, we'll probably have to spend a good $1,000 or $1,500 just to set them up, which I think is very expensive. And on top of that, every time I want to update my will, let's say I have kids, I want to include them into my will, they are going to charge me extra, obviously. So ongoing cost is going to be another downside. Now, like I said, I think this way is perfectly fine. It's the old school way, and it's how you can get like a proper will done to make sure there's no problem. But if your instructions are pretty simple, or you just want to have something in place, then I think this is where Willful can step in and fulfill that kind of gap to get things done while making the price more reasonable. And I think the best way to demonstrate this is to walk you guys through the actual process of what happens when you use the service, how you actually set things up, so you can see how convenient and easy everything is. So as you can see here, this is their homepage. And if you want to use the service, all you have to do is click the start for free. Now, starting up your will is not going to cost you any money. You only have to pay at the end when you're satisfied with everything you've set up and you want to make it official. And so yeah, they're gonna guide you, and we can just click start. Going on, I'm in BC, and let's say I'm in Vancouver, and then my name, and then enter my birthday. So I'm just gonna enter a random one here. Yeah, so they're gonna take you along, and then just make sure every step your info is correct, and then you keep going. And then next gonna ask you to select a plan for yourself. Depending on who you are, choose the plan. They'll kind of give you a price, but you don't have to pay. And later on, I'm gonna show you a code where you can get some discount on this. And also I'll talk about the promotion where our company is launching. You can potentially get this done for free. Pick a plan first, and then you keep going. You do not have to pay yet. And the next gonna ask you about your status. So we're married, filling in whatever they ask you. We have no kids, but if you have, I imagine they would ask you their info after that. We don't have kids yet. Again, you wanna have someone else designated to take care of your cat, of your dog, you would tell them here as well. Is there a charity you wanna donate to? So we also have a charity in there. You can pick your own if you want. So there you have a list already. So BC Children's Hospital was one of them that we really want. So let's say we're gonna make a $10,000 donation. That's something I really want if I pass away. Would you like to leave everything to Heidi Lee if you pass away? So depend, if that's what you want, right? Then you just click yes. If not, let's say I wanna give a little bit something to other people, then you can say no. What they would do is they would just ask you to distribute and allocate. So 3 people, let's say. Then you can also play around with the slider to make sure your percentage is something that you like. If one of your beneficiary passes away, what should happen to their share? Divide among existing beneficiary or go to their kids? Anyone want to be a contingent? So anyone want to be a backup beneficiary? So if yes, then you can choose them. Now, lastly is my arrangements, right? So my affairs. Who should be my executor? Now, if you want your spouse to be one, then just click her. But if you want to have a backup one, then you can add one. I have a backup one, and it was my sister. So just in case my wife is not up to it or my wife needs some help, there's one that can be backup. If you want more, then you can add more. What's my final resting place? I think for me, I click let my family decide. I don't really care. What type of ceremony do I want to have? Again, you can pick your own. Who to pick, then obviously my wife will pick as power of attorney. Now, again, you can add another one. And then who should be acting as my healthcare? Then again, is my wife. If I was unable to communicate, what medical plan should be followed, right? Do you want to withdraw treatment, prolong life? I will let my wife decide for me. And then once you have everything done, this is where you actually pay. So you can click pay now. Now, if you have other adults, you have kids you want to include, then there will be other prices. All right, so we're back here. This is the actual screen of my actual plan that I paid for. So my side is done. Once everything is done, if you have a family plan, you can see here that it says family on the right side. You click manage plan. If you haven't already, they will ask you like who you want to invite. In my case, it's my wife, so I sent her an invitation, so she will get an email and she will be able to get these things done herself on her side. So what's gonna happen is once you're done, they're also gonna have a code at the bottom. I used it already, so I don't have it anymore, but they're gonna ask you to come over to this Canada Will Registry. And you come into here, and this is where you can register your will on a database. So if something were to happen to you, your family can come over here and search for one themselves, and it's going to be registered, so it's more official. So it will cost you $40, but Willful is going to give you a code that you can do this for free. They include this as the pricing already, so that's very nice. And then once you're done, you can actually come here and view your documents. Inside, this is where it's going to have all your most updated version here. So what you could do is you can view them. Willful is also going to give you instruction on, hey, you need to sign this, right? And who can sign, who cannot sign. They're going to give you proper instruction here. So just take a look, read them through, make sure these are signed or else it's not going to be valid. And they're also going to have some restriction on the witnesses. For example, your beneficiary cannot be a witness on this will, so you will have to find someone else to help you sign. So what you can do then is you can print them out and then you can go to a notary place to get them done. Now, I got quoted anywhere from $50 to $75 per notary stamp. There's probably a small discount if I do multiple with them. So as you can see, the pricing on Willful, it's gonna be $149 for one person or $250 for two people. And you only have to spend an extra probably $150 to notarize the documents to make it more official. So there you have it. Willful is extremely convenient. You can make changes anytime you want. And also the price, I think, is a lot more reasonable. With that being said, there are people that should not be using Willful because their estate situation is a little bit different. Willful actually have quite a good article on their website talking about who may not be suitable for these kind of services. I've included a link to the description below, but generally, as you can see on the screen, these are the people listed that they should be talking to a lawyer instead. These prices that you're looking at is the official price. There's two ways you can get this done for a lot cheaper. The first one is you can actually use my code that I will provide in the description below. If I remember correctly, it's gonna give you either 15% or 20% off of this price you're looking at, so that can save you some money if you wanna go ahead and get that done first. Second way is, like I said, our company is launching a promotion. We've actually sent this out to all of our new financial clients last year, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. So for all the financial clients for 2022, we're also gonna include this for free as part of the service. So if that's something you're interested in, we are launching a service introduction section next Wednesday or Saturday, depending which time fits you. So if you are thinking about working with us and you want to check out our services and our introduction, the sign up link is gonna be in our private Facebook group, which I have provided a link to join in the description below. So in conclusion, if you just want something simple or as a placeholder, then I think Willful is going to be one of the best choice you can think about. Alright, so that's everything I want to share today. If you like what I'm saying, hit the like button once. If you don't like them, hit the dislike button twice. Next, what I want to hear from you is, how do you get your will and power of attorney done? Let me know in the comment down below. And if you like these kind of videos, I do upload them 8:30 EST every Tuesday. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell button to get all the notifications in the future. Alright, this is Jacky. I hope you found this interesting. I'll see you next week. Bye!